G'day everyone, it's SDS SuperCoach, providing SuperCoach content for you. I'm here to present how to win your SuperCoach League Grand Final for this week. So we all know it's SuperCoach Grand Final week this week, so I thought I'd help you guys out and give you guys a few tips on what exactly you could do to maximise your chance of winning your SuperCoach League Grand Final. I know a lot of you guys out here might be in a SuperCoach Grand Final, and I thought I'd do my best to help you out here. As we know, it means a lot to people just to win a grand final. You can say, I won my own league. It doesn't matter if it's the main grand final or if it's the minor league grand final, the bottom 8 grand final. That doesn't matter. So I just thought I'd put out this video just to help you guys out on how to maximize your chance of winning that. So I've got a few notes down here just so I can remember what to say. So if you have any trades, then you just do it. So there's no point holding on to them. It's the final week. So look, I know Jack McRae's out this week due to concussion protocol. So if you have a trade left or two left or whatever the case may be, then you can just trade out Jack McRae this week. You can keep in mind as well of some really good matchups for this week. I'll get into that a bit later, but I guess it can, if you do have trades. So look, Jack McRae would be one to trade out for this week. And you could sort of look at matchups. So like Jack McRae, for example, I don't know what his price is. Let me just quickly have a look. So Jack McRae is 459K. And for example, Taylor Walker, now he's 20K more. So the reason I'm bringing up Taylor Walker is because he does have West Coast this week. And if you want to look to really get an advantage on your opponent, who very good chance don't have Taylor Walker, or they might not have a trade left to bring in Taylor Walker, but he's going up against the West Coast Eagles. Last time that Taylor Walker did play against West Coast, he kicked 10 goals. So you could really look at that matchup, and he should be able to do really well. He's also fighting for a Coleman medal, so I think he'll do his absolute best to win the Coleman medal this week. If he can, I think Charlie Curnow's a bit ahead of him, but if Taylor Walker can kick another 10 goals, then that gives him a chance there. So I think that's a really good matchup. You could also look at trading out players, maybe like Andy Brayshaw, who's going up against Hawthorn this week. They might look to put a bit of attention into either Brayshaw or Sarong. Sarong's another good one. So if you do have that spare trade, then you may look to move out of Jack McRae, move out an Andy Brayshaw or a Caleb Sarong, and just maximize your chance of avoiding a bad score and maybe really targeting blokes that have some really good matchups this week. If I had to think off the top of my head, like this West Coast matchup is really good for Adelaide. So as I said, Taylor Walker or whatever the case may be. Zach Butters is another really good one. I wish I bloody had him. So, it is what it is. But Zach Butters is a really good matchup against Richmond, who really have nothing to play for. And yeah, so just keep that in mind with your trades if you do have any left. And then matchups, as I've said, I've brought up a couple of good players. St Kilda, they're going up against Brisbane. Maybe a real sneaky one could be like a Kadeen Coleman, because St Kilda do leak a lot of points to defenders. Maybe like a Harris Andrews, something like that, something out of the ordinary. You could have a look at that. What else is a really good matchup? I guess Nane Curvis, but he is playing with Soldo, so Port Adelaide at the minute are a good ruck matchup to go against. So that sort of thing. Now, I guess you could also have a look at Riley O'Brien as well, who's going up against Bailey Williams. He leaks a few points in the ruck department, so I'd probably have a look at Riley O'Brien if you want to look to bring in a ruck for whatever reason. Maybe you could, if you do have Max Gawn, and if for whatever reason Brody Grundy does get named, you could look to do a Gawn to Riley O'Brien swap there. So in terms of loopholing, I'd do your absolute best to give yourself the best chance of getting a good score on field with avoiding a bad score. So look, maybe for example, I guess you can have a look at this right here. Draper does I mean, Briggs actually scored pretty well against Sam Draper. So, but just in case, because we know Darcy Cameron is a little bit inconsistent here. We can see some 61, some 74, 67. Going up against rucks that are pretty just restrictive to scoring. So, and hey, if Mason Cox is playing this week, because we saw in the second half of that Brisbane Collingwood game where Mason Cox was the sub and he took the majority of the ruck. Now, could that happen this week and Darcy Cameron's more that deep forward? So say if you've got Darcy Cameron and Ryan Marriage, you've got Roberts here who plays 320 on a Sunday. What you could do, now a lot of people know this, but just for anyone that doesn't really know, you can probably loop Darcy Cameron and Marriage. So you can loop Darcy Cameron on the Friday night, see how he scores this on the Friday. If it's a pretty bad score, then you can get Marriage on field. To be honest, if Darcy Cameron scores any less than like 50, then I'd probably just get Marriage on. But I think Marriage, he isn't really going to score much better than a 60 plus, is he? So he scored a 59 in a win. So you could just do it just in case Darcy Cameron does get injured. He's a bit injury prone. He could be playing deep forward for a lot of the game. So you may as well just do it if you can. So that's a really good one. This is a really good option for people that don't have any trades left. Let's say Andy Brayshaw gets tagged against the Hawks with Finn McGuinness. You've got Harry Sharp here, so you can get him on field. Let's say you've got a Jasper Fletcher, whoever's playing here. For me, it's Ben Keys. You can put Andy Brayshaw on the bench, put him as the emergency, and just get and you can loop his score just in case he scores really poorly. If he does score really poorly, then you can get Ben Keys on. So make sure so for this example here, Harry Sharp is playing at 4:35. I'm looping a bloke at 1:45 p.m. on the same day. So if Brayshaw does score pretty bad, then you really got to be quick on to make sure you get a bloke that's playing on a game past the 1:45 game. So here with Harry Sharp, you don't want to lock that in if Andy Brayshaw has a bad score. So if he does, you just get Ben Keys on. So for my example, you want to make sure that you do that swap before, after the Hawthorn Fremantle game and before the St Kilda Brisbane game starts. So that's another one there. There's plenty of other ideas that you can do to loophole. A classic one, you always got to make sure that if you do run a late vice captain, that you do have a loop available to make sure you take that good score. All that sort of stuff. So I could potentially look to set myself up like this personally. So you can loop Brayshaw's score, you can loop Darcy Cameron's score. So just in case any of those blokes go play pretty bad, then that is an idea to do. I can't really do it with my backline just because I've got no one else playing there. So sounds like Libba's going to be back this week, so that helps me this week. Oh, pardon me. Now, in terms of captains, I think it's a little bit tougher if you're in multiple grand finals, if there's one specifically that you want to win, that's probably the one you target the most to win. So, but if you're just in one, then you can just keep your focus just onto that grand final. So, one tactic I like to do, now I just play for ranks, so I don't necessarily play for leagues, but if I was to play for leagues, one thing I would look to do is in your head, you have a vice captain and captain rotation. So let's say vice captain, I'm not going to say what a good I'll say who are good vice captain and captain options, but I'm not going to reveal mine just in case a couple of my grand final opponents, I'm in 6 out of 10 league grand finals. So just in case they're watching, I'm not really going to reveal mine, but I will reveal some good options. So let's say you want a vice captain. Let's go with Will Day. And what you're going to do is let's say Will Day scores I don't know, a 125 plus. Of course, you take it. Now, I'm not going to vice captain him all day, but he's just an example. Let's say he scores 125 plus this week. You take that score. If you don't like that vice captain score, so heading into the week, what I would do is have the captain on one of your loopholes already, just so your opponent doesn't actually know who your captain is. So that's why I've got Will Day here. And that's why I'm going to have Madden and English looping there. So that's actually going to reveal your captain if you just have it on Nick Madden, a bloke who's not going to play, and you have it on Will Day, and then you can reassess who's my opponent captaining. So, and then maybe with like a minute before the game starts, let's say you want to captain Tim English, then you take the you take the captain off Nick Madden and you put it on English with maybe like a minute to go. If you know that if you're in a good position with your matchup heading into the Saturday night games, then what you can do is with a minute before the game starts, captain English. If he's captained English as well, you can just even up the captaincy. If you're in a good position, let's say you're like 100 plus points ahead on the projected, then you can just match his captain score, just so you give yourself an even better chance of winning. Because what you don't want to, if you're playing for a league grand final specifically, you don't want to, let's say you're 200 points ahead and you captain Dawson or whoever it may be, you don't match the captain score, even though you're in a good position. You don't really want to do that. You want to make sure your priority is beating your league matchup. So what I'd do if you're in a good position is captain the bloke that they're captaining, and just hide your captain as well. So what I just showed you there with Madden and English as well. So if you're in a bad position, let's say you're 100 or 200 plus projected points down, if you feel like you're not in a good position to win this week, then you just go with a different captain and you just try to sort of get a Hail Mary. I really like Zach Butters on the Sunday afternoon against the Tigers. Tigers aren't great in the midfield. They're not terrible, but they're not great in the midfield. So I think Zach Butters is a really good one. Or you go for a bloke with a massively high ceiling. So potentially like a Zach Butters, stuff like that. Maybe you could go with Jordan Dawson or a Rory Laird there against the Eagles. So look, those are my ideas. So I'm in 6 out of 10 league grand finals. I will still be playing for rank regardless. If I can win as many as I can of these grand finals, then, and they're all not minor grand finals, they're all the actual grand finals. So yeah, best of luck to Jono, Kyle, Stephen, David, Neville, and Daniel for this coming week for the grand final. Best of luck to you. So those are some little tips that I would look to do. If you're in a bad position, then you might just have to look to captain maybe like a Zach Butters or whatever the case may be there. So hope this video helped you guys out. I wish everyone the best of luck for grand finals this week. I know it's a lot about bragging rights or a cash league grand final. There's a lot on the line. So I wish everyone the best of luck with their grand finals. If there's any questions you got down below and what else you could look to do, if there's anything I've forgotten, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know if you're in any grand finals yourself, but hopefully some of these tips can help you out. So with like emergency loopholing, you just try to give yourself the best possible score on field. Let's say Andy Brayshaw or Darcy Cameron has a really bad score, then you can get Marich or Keys or whatever the case may be. Take advantage of the blokes that you have scoring on your bench. So just keep that in mind. Some good vice captain and captain options. That'll be the last thing I say. Sicily, I like just due to his ceiling, but the only problem is Freo are actually pretty restrictive in the back line. And I was looking around all the scoring from the defenders this season against Freo. None of them are really great captain scores, that sort of thing. So, yeah, so I'm not a massive fan of Sicily. I'd love to do it, but don't love it. Now, what's the real shame is that the two best matchups for this week are both on the Saturday night. So One thing you could look to do is vice captain Bont, for example, and then go into and see how he's scoring before the West Coast Adelaide game starts. So you can put the captain on Laird or Dawson if Bont is having a slow start to the game, or if they're going really well, then you just keep the captain on him. If it turns out to not be a great captain score in the end, then you'll just have to look to someone on the Sunday, whether that's Zach Butters, Colin Rosé, Tim Taranto, Christian Petrarca, that sort of thing. So let me know how you guys go for sorry, as I said, I think Bont, I think Libba, I think English, they're all good options. Same with Laird and Dawson. Not too many on Zach Butters. I really like Zach Butters as well. And if no, the Big O's back. I was going to say if Darcy Fort was the solo ruck, I really like Rowan Marshall, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case because Luke Jackson scored a 173 on Darcy Fort. So, look, I'll leave it there, guys. Wish everyone the best of luck for your grand finals, for your leagues this week. Hopefully you guys do as well as you can and can win them. Or if you're in multiple league grand finals, if you can win as many as possible, that'd be great. So, wish everyone the best of luck for this week, and I'll see you guys in the next video, guys. Cheers. Have a good one.